Greetings. Today, the moon goes into Aries just a few hours after Mars, the ruler of Aries, goes from Capricorn into Aquarius. I'm Marina Orms here with your Astro Vibe for Friday, January 23rd. Have at once Mars goes into Aquarius just a little bit after 1 a.m. Pacific time. We have 5 planets in Aquarius, all kind of huddled around Pluto, the planet of truth and power and transformation. And these themes, these intense themes of things needing to move, things needing to be healed, and in many cases, energies that have been in the shadow or below the surface or in the subconscious or just simply not in our active awareness, right? Our conscious awareness. Those energies surface with the energy of Pluto. And Pluto helps us to do that death and rebirth process that is ultimately what is required for healing. And I'm talking about any kind of healing. So when we are doing a healing process, we want to get better, right? Healing is about getting better. And there are all different ways we could define what it means to get better. It could mean more healthy, it could mean less pain, it could mean more function when we're talking about healing our bodies. But healing means getting better in lots of different ways. So it could mean being happier, feeling more peaceful, whatever healing looks like, it's an improvement in our condition. So we're thinking about healing, and to do that healing process, whatever it looks like, or whatever it is we're moving toward or stepping into in that healing process journey, there is a need to leave behind old ways of being, whether that's maybe your pain that you're leaving behind. It could be, right? Or it could be a way of things being or being felt in your life that you want to leave behind as you step into more functionality, more freedom, more happiness, more of a peaceful feeling, whatever better looks like. So we're leaving behind what we don't want and stepping into more of what we do want. And that's the healing journey, because we can heal in our bodies, our minds, our spirits, and our emotions. So body, mind, spirit, and emotion is those are the 4 dimensions of wellness when you're talking about holistic healing. And we want to work toward healing in all 4. Anyway, when you leave behind something and step into something new, that is a kind of death and rebirth process. So we're leaving something behind, we're letting go of something we don't want anymore, and we're, in a sense, giving birth to or inviting in the new things that we want to see. So Pluto helps us with that process. And it can be hard when we leave behind what we no longer want, because sometimes there's a good reason why things are the way they are, even though we don't ultimately want to keep them. There might be a reason why we had them in the first place. And whether that is something in our physical bodies, maybe we don't want to change our diet or do whatever we need to do to do that healing work. It can, right? There's some things we have to leave behind, and that might be hard. But ultimately, that is the healing journey, is allowing ourselves to transform. So why am I talking about that? Because the energy of Pluto is so central right now. All of the personal planets are in the process of transiting past Pluto. And so we're talking about this deeper healing process, things coming to the surface, needing to do this work of transformation. So maybe that's what we are seeing going on in society. We can also see that coming up, of course, in our personal lives with whatever is showing up to be transformed. So Mars goes into Aquarius now, coming into that sign of Aquarius, heading toward Pluto. Mars and Pluto are kind of an explosive energy when they come together, because Mars is that planet of action, of movement, of pressure, that impulsive need to do something. And Pluto is that transformative energy. So when those two come together, sometimes it can be quite intense. And as with everything, we're looking at good as well as hard. And so the good possibilities here are, finding your power, finding your way of taking action or moving something forward, or finding your courage, or doing what needs to be done to further that healing work. At the same time, we also have the potential for things to escalate. And that's what we want to watch out for. And that's why it's really important to stay grounded, to stay intentional. If you want to be peaceful, have that intention, have the intention to stay peaceful, and remind yourself that peace is really important to you. And we've been talking yesterday. I shared about how important that bigger picture is. I had a great video yesterday, by the way. If you missed it, I shared the chart, the astrology chart, so you could kind of get a visual on some of these things and what we're moving through right now, as well as talking about that bigger picture. Okay, so Mars goes into Aquarius. Mars is heading toward Pluto. We already have Venus, Sun, and Mercury all activating Pluto. Venus being our desires, our values, the things we want. Mercury being about communication and information, and where the information is being shared, where we're getting our information, what it means, what's the power move behind the sharing of information with Pluto. So that coming together of Mercury and Pluto, really looking at where is the real power, and how is information being communicated, but also where are the ideas coming from. So doing that healing work around our understanding and our information, our where we're getting our information from, and what it means, who's got the power, how we reclaim power, all of those themes. Sun, of course, also about, it can be about power trips, because the sun symbolizes the ego, among other things, right? So that feeling of being power hungry in terms of it feeding your ego. It can also be self-empowerment and expressing your true self. So with all of these things, we always have choices within the energy. And then, so the moon goes into Aries just about I think it's 5:45 a.m. Sorry, 5:25 a.m. Pacific time. The moon goes from Pisces into Aries. So that rebirth energy, that Aries action, it's the mood of the day. The moon is the mood of the day. So we can have that impulsive, spontaneous energy, that drive to do something, to take action. And again, always important to bring it back to what matters. What is your intention? What do you care about in the bigger picture? So that your impulsive actions can be in alignment with that bigger picture of what matters to you. So looking at the bigger picture, taking care of yourself, so that when you feel that urge, that impulse to do something, to take an action, to find your courage, that you're doing so for the right reasons. And has this ever been true for you in your daily life, where you're a little bit off center, you're off kilter for whatever reason, you haven't been getting your needs met, you're a little bit cranky, and Someone says something that pushes your buttons, and you impulsively, spontaneously, fly off the handle or say something that you maybe wish you hadn't said. That's the energy of Aries. Like, it's going to do what it's going to do. So if we're not in our heart space, in our true self, in our groundedness, then, well, if we are those things, then our actions, our spontaneous ways of doing things, our responses can be in alignment with that bigger picture of what we really want, right? And it's in alignment with what we really want to achieve. So the Aries action to get what we want can get us what we want instead of getting us what we don't want. So staying grounded, taking those deep breaths, and then let your courage be moved by your heart, right? Courage comes from the word meaning heart. So let your courage, your action, let it come from what you care about, what you're passionate about, what really matters. And watch yesterday's video if you missed it for some insight into what that bigger picture is all about, why it's so important at this time. So we got that Aries moon. It's going to be with us for a couple of days. And stay tuned. We've got Neptune going into Aries on Monday. So I will be back with more astrology for unshakable self-care. I'm Marina Orms. You can book a reading with me at astrologyheals.com. Thanks for hitting the subscribe button. I so appreciate your support, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.